Can he find something? Soboslai's hit. Oh my goodness me! Cherky. Haaland's flick. Oh, no. That's a really clever ball. And City wants a penalty. And Haaland scores. Leicester City breathe again in the race for the Premier League. To McAllister. Deflection. Oh, what a Roma. It's towards Alisson. Manchester City should score. Soboslai will get there. The ball is left crestfallen.
So this was a big game for both teams, especially Manchester City. They had to make this comeback win because they wanted to, put some life back into the title challenge. They've cut the gap on Arsenal to about 6 points, and they're just 13 games remaining. And it was their first league double over Liverpool since 1936. And by the way, that was when they won their league title. It was also the first time Pep Guardiola has led Manchester City to a win at Anfield in 5 years. And, well, it wasn't really the first one. The first one happened during COVID. But the thing is that in COVID, there were no spectators. So, that takes away from the atmosphere at Anfield, the daunting atmosphere at Anfield. So when Szoboszlai made that amazing free kick, it was at the 74th minute. Nobody thought City was going to make a comeback. It was the same one like the one he scored against Arsenal. Against Arsenal, it was on this side, but against City, it was on this side. Anyways, let's look at the starting lineups. So we got Alisson in goal. Liverpool set up in this 4-2-3-1. You got Kirkis here, Van Dijk, Konaté, Szoboszlai, the right back. He's supposed to be playing in the midfield because the Liverpool right back always stays injured. Both of them are injured. Bradley as well as Frimpong. So it's Szoboszlai who is the right back. And then you got a double pivot of McAllister as well as Gravenberch. Cody Gakpo is the left winger. Wirtz, the number 10. Mo Salah. And then you got Hugo Ekitike, the striker. Let's look at Man City. They set up in a 4-3-3. You got Donnarumma in goal. Matheus Nunes, Husanov, Guehi, the new guy. Amazing performance. Ryan Etnouri, finally he's back. So City have some creative outlets here. Bernardo Silva started. Rodri is also back. And O'Reilly stepped into the midfield. Semenyo started as the right winger. And Haaland, the center forward. And Omar Marmoush also got a start. He hadn't been getting minutes under Pep, but that brace against Newcastle has breathed life into his career again. And so this was the 4-3-3. And over here we got this 4-2-3-1. We look at the shots on target. Liverpool, they got 13, 3 out of 13 shots. City got 7 out of 16. Possession, 45% for Liverpool, 55% for City. Attacks into the area, Liverpool actually had more. So 34 and 22 for Man City. So when it comes to penetrating the area, Liverpool was better than City. But if we look at the expected goals, it was actually City who was better. And so Liverpool had a 1.01 and City had a 2.35. Okay, so in the first half, Manchester City, they attacked this way. And Liverpool attacked this way. The first play we're going to look at is how Manchester City stretched Liverpool's defense. So Liverpool are basically in this narrow back four situation. They got their two double pivots over here, and people cracking back everything. What City did was they wanted to get in behind Liverpool's lines. This is Holland, and this is Semenyo over here, and this is Marmoush. So you got this basically front three of City, who are actually very narrow inside, and for that reason, Liverpool's back four also had to stay narrow. And what they did was City's other players were also narrow, so they basically stretched the pitch with their fullbacks. It was basically Ed Nouri that made the runs over here, and so once City got the ball up around this area, they they passed the ball, and over here Nouri got it, and he got the crosses and everything, and so at this point, all three of City's attackers could get in the box. However, they couldn't make the most of it. Man City's idea basically was, as they stretched Liverpool's defense, if these are the two defenders, Van Dijk and Konaté, this is what a typical Liverpool play looked like. And when City had the ball, this is Rodri over here. Bernardo Silva dropping deep as well. O'Reilly around here. The fullbacks bombing up. Here's how they stretched it. So basically, Marmoush would move around here, and he would pull this guy over there. Holland would move from the center to this spot, and that would basically pull Van Dijk out. So now you got this whole gap over here. And so what Semenyo did was he would basically, as a right winger, as this guy would move forward, Semenyo would go all the way over here, right next to O'Reilly. This would create gap over here as well, because Liverpool left back Kirkes, he would want to follow Semenyo, and that would create this gap over here. This is how they basically stretched Liverpool's defense, and then they could create threat on the flanks as well as through the center. And Haaland did make the most of it, because once that defense is stretched and you got this whole gap over here, Haaland's the guy who was going to make that run behind the line. How did City do their high press? You got Alisson here, Konaté here, Van Dijk, the fullbacks, pivot. Now let's just look at this part of the game. Haaland would press Van Dijk, and this would encourage Alisson to pass the ball to Konaté. Marmoush would move inside and press him. But this was the main area where they wanted to focus. And over here, you got Bernardo Silva marking this guy over here. And once Marmoush left Konaté, City would let Liverpool pass the ball out wide. And so when they did that, O'Reilly would jump onto the fullback. Rodri would be marking this guy over here. And so what Semenyo did was he would move inside to mark the other midfielder. And he would leave Kirkes alone. There was no problem with that because the ball was being overloaded on this side. So what happened was that even while this was happening, City always, even if O'Reilly stepped out, City always had three guys in the center marking the three midfielders. So this is how basically City pressed Liverpool. at times what would happen is that if you look at City's three over here, you got Semenyo, Rodri, and O'Reilly. When City were high pressing Liverpool, what would happen was that Alisson would look to pass the ball over here, but Bernardo Silva would make that move right inside and cut this line and also provide this cover shadow over here to prevent Alisson from passing the ball centrally to the midfielder. So then Alisson would have to pass the ball to Konaté again, and over here you'd see Marmoush again triggering that press. And so if, Konaté went wide, again O'Reilly would bounce up on him. Because Bernardo Silva had left his position, this guy would be open. So then obviously Rodri would get in on him, and Semenyo could then, tap this guy. City basically limited most of Liverpool's deep build-up. They also achieved their objective of stretching this back line of Liverpool so that they would have spaces to attack in the center if they win the ball back somewhere around this area. So now what did Liverpool do in response to this? We see Haaland on Van Dijk. We got Marmoush right in front of Konaté. You got the fullback here. Kirk is here. The pivot over here. And so we see basically a diamond over here. City's pressing in a diamond. When Kirkus was moved inside, what would happen was, because Semenyo, he'd move way over here to form this diamond. Wirtz would drop deep over here. And from here, he's the open guy because Kirkus is inside, Semenyo's inside, and, there's a press going on right in the center as well as this high press over here. So instead of passing the ball here, what Konaté would do is he would dribble in here, and then he would make this long pass to Florian Wirtz. In the second half, Liverpool is attacking at the top end, and City is attacking over here. And in this half, Liverpool actually played much better than City, as Pep Guardiola said in his post-match press conference. So what did Liverpool actually do differently? Let's look at this play. You got Nunez over here, and Semenyo has moved inside. You got Cody Gakpo over here. It can take you around here. Kirk is here. You got McAllister over here. You got Gravenberch, Soboslai. What Wirtz would do is he would move all the way over here, and Rodri would basically have to follow him. And so Semenyo is the only guy over here. McAllister, he'd make that run inside. And so what would happen is that once Liverpool get the ball over here, around here to Soboslai, you can see that Kirkis is now the free man because Rodri has left his place, and so Semenyo is basically inside covering this central area so that if McAllister moves inside, Semenyo is the guy who's going to get him. You have the City player over here getting Soboslai, and then you also want to get Gravenberch. So now, once Soboslai moves the ball inside here and makes this pass out wide, you got Kirkus the free man, and so you got Kirkus and Gakpo in a 2v1 against Matheus Nunez over here. So that is one of the solutions Liverpool found in the second half. This basically disorganized City's midfield, and so if you look at this play over here, you got the two Liverpool center backs. You got Gravenberch over here. Fast play going on, transitional. Kirk is here. Gakpo, he's moved inside to target Nunez. You got Ekitike here, and you got Mo Salah over here. So City now have a back three, so it's a 3v4 situation over here. 1, 2, 3, 4 versus a back three. We'd see at Nuri, he began jumping to support O'Reilly. That City's midfield was now disorganized. This left Liverpool basically with this back three, and Liverpool basically continued to find Kirkes with Gakpo moving inside, narrowing things down. This would also leave Kirkes free. But the problem was that, Liverpool's these players over here, Gakpo and Kirkes, they don't have that much match practice to be on that same, let's say, wavelength. Those final third runs into the box, they weren't on point. Liverpool's best plays usually then came through these transitional plays, and they were directly trying to access their front line over here. But that's not the only thing Liverpool did in the second half. They also managed to disrupt City's deeper build. And that is why Liverpool looked much more dominant at the start of the second half. So how did they do that? So here we got Donnarumma, and these are City's defenders. Then we got the midfielders over here. What Liverpool would do was Salah would target Donnarumma, and so would Ekitike. They'd make these curved runs with the players so that it will become difficult to pass the ball out wide over here to City's stretched center backs. Wirtz would also press, and so would McAllister. So both the midfielders of City were also being pressed. And then here, Kirkes would move inside and press this guy over here. Soboslai would be right over here, targeting the left back. Once Liverpool were pressing high, Donnarumma would be forced to go long. And yet, despite taking the lead through Soboslai's magnificent free kick, nobody could stop him. One of the best free kick takers in the world. Liverpool still ended up dropping points in added time. And this is the 6th time it has happened this season. And by the way, it's also the 4th time in which they've conceded a winning goal from the 90th minute onward. That's the joint most in the Premier League era, along with Watford in 2017, West Ham 2021, Watford again in 2021, and Southampton in 2024. For City, this has put momentum back into the title charge. If they had dropped points here, it was pretty much set that Arsenal's running away from it. But now, the title race is back on, and City play their next match before Arsenal does. And if they win that puts a big mental pressure on Arsenal. But Arsenal do have leadership in their squad, and they have a very deep squad. So they got to win their next game to get that strong mentality, because it could collapse really, really fast.
Yeah, a feeling of anger and a feeling of disappointment. Of course, because first half, City were the better team on the pitch, without creating that many big chances, except for the one from Haaland in the first minute. But they played easier with the ball, but the improvement we've made since 3 or 4 months ago was, I think, visible for everyone. So the second half, our standards went up, and standards in terms of intensity. We were pressing them all over the place, and that is the biggest improvement we've made in the last 3 or 4 months. That the whole team is now able, at the highest level against a team that's probably one of the best teams, maybe the best team, or one of the best teams in England, in ball possession. To do so well off the ball is a big improvement, and fantastic second half. Was expecting more than being 1-0 up. but we weren't, and then 2 goals conceded.
Yeah, because we won, right?
Yeah, we won because of many things.
Yeah, I can explain you many things we have done right. We didn't win in the past, and as a disaster, the title race was over before the game, and now will be over after losing or drawing, and now still they are there. The first half was exceptional in many times. We are not composed enough in the final third. We are a little bit more calm to take the right decisions in the boxes. You have to take a coffee as a defender and as a striker. And we are so you move all the actions. Always we arrive 1 meter before, 1 meter later, never in the spot. But we are so young in many things, and second half the connection that we knew that they will push a little bit more. In the first half we played some long balls and we fought, and Omar and Erling, they were there because I know it's an incredible difficult task, Konaté and Van Dijk, to win that balls. I'm not saying that, but the second half not even try, and that ball come quick, come back quicker, goes quick, come back quicker. And after that, we allowed the crowd to be involved, and after can happen. After, it just heads off for the shot for Szoboszlai, like a copy-paste, like Arsenal game. But at the end, being guided for our incredible player, one of the best players I ever played, or trained, in that case, our captain Bernardo, we follow him. I follow him too. So, because when a player put the team always in front of him, and do the things through his own example, everybody follow him, me the first. And scored the first one for the assist from Erling, and make the assist for the penalty to Mateus. So, and we won finally, I would say, in Anfield. Like always is so difficult, so I'm happy for the result for the guys, because we were there. So from the beginning I said, okay, I know Liverpool always starts strong. We have to start stronger. The first who punch, we have more chance to win the game.
Paul?
Marc Guehi's only been at the club for a couple of weeks. On an amazing performance like that, what do you think about how he's settled in?
I said from the day one, I need 2 training sessions for the composer with the build-up and how he moves, watching around. There are central defenders that's watching the ball, and he's always right, left. He knows exactly what is happening around. I said in my press conference, the bright of this club, of this players is good. It's bright because they brought a really, really good players with big personalities, and Marc will become top.
Richard?
He's already, I would say.